right, and we are now live. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the BS Podcast.
I'm Blaze.
And I'm Sharon. And today we're going to give you a weekly dose of bullshit. It has been at least 1 week since the presidential election. In the last episode, we discussed the, let's just say, a hot commodity type of response that came from this little event. The Trump campaign and practically the entire Republican Party is on their rockers right now because they have managed to not only take over the entire House, Senate, and the White House overall, but a lot of changes have been announced that will be taking place once the transfer of power happens in, what was it, January, not January 1st, is it January 5th? Or whatever. Sometime.
Ironically, I believe it's on the 6th.
Well,
the irony.
If it is January 6th, and that's just irony at peak finest. But in the midst of the recent affairs of the presidential election, and of course the riveting and very entertaining backlash that came from it from a certain type of individuals, won't say who were actually against this whole ordeal with Trump winning. Trump. If you're one of those people who went absolutely apeshit when he got elected as president, then you should know that Trump is going to be on his villain arc, because in the midst of all that is holy, Trump has already made significant plans about what's going to happen during the transfer of power, as I said before. The big one being, and the subject of today's episode, is immigration. Now, Trump has already announced that a certain individual, let me just find his name. Someone, a guy named by the name of Mr. Hammond, I believe. Let me just confirm, because actually, while I'm looking for this guy, you mind explaining the recent events that's been happening in with the Trump campaign, brother? I think you brought this up to me earlier. I think it's like some Doge thing.
Not Doge, definitely not Doge. But recently, and this has been announced a while ago, so there's not much information to go off of besides the announcement tweet. But Trump and his party has announced that they're going to enact a new department within the government known as Department of Government Efficiency. Quote, together, these two powerful American, in a statement released by Trump after his victory, quote, I am pleased to announce that the great Elon Musk, working in conjunction with American patriot Vivek Ramaswamy, will lead the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Weird name convention, but all right.
Man. Together, they're trying to put Dogecoin on the map.
I guess. Together, these two wonderful Americans will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracies / excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies essential to the Save America movement. This will send shockwaves through the system and anyone involved in government waste, which is a lot of people, stated Mr. Musk. It'll become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time. Republican politicians have dreamed about the objectives of Doge for a very long time. To drive this kind of drastic change, the Department of Doge will provide advice and guidance from outside the government and will partner with the White House and Office of Management and Budget to drive large-scale structural reform and create an entrepreneurial approach to government never seen before. I look forward to Elon and Vivek's changes to the federal bureaucracy with this eye on efficiency and at the same time making life better for all Americans. Importantly, we will drive out the massive waste and fraud which exists throughout the annual $6.5 trillion of government spending. They will work together to liberate our economy and make the U.S. government accountable to we the people. Their work will conclude no later than July 4th, 2026. A smaller government with more efficiency and less bureaucracy would be perfect gift to America on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. I am confident this will succeed. And
that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in, but we'll go into detail of that next week when more information comes about, because to my understanding, a lot is going on regarding that.
I mean, we can infer what we can get from this announcement alone, but anything developing, we have to wait.
The main takeaway of what I'm seeing is what I'm hearing. I can't see you. What I'm hearing is that, you know, this is supposed to hopefully, I guess, in some ways reform the government to you know, be smaller, less, not run by bureaucrats, but run by what? I mean, what? Actual people.
Well, based on what I've read and based on what is stated in the announcement, excuse me, with both, this is not like an actual government agency. This is a third party organization led by Elon and Vivek, because they are working with the government to try to change certain finances and the flow with the entire bureaucracy system. Now, at the same time, while also trying to eliminate wasteful expenses and proper management of the American economy. Now, yes, there's not much to say here beyond what is announced, given that, one, Trump isn't even in the White House yet. He won't be inaugurated until, ironically, the 6th of January, fun fact. And given that he has a deadline of July 4th, 2026, this adds more of a terms of urgency. The fact that, you know, we have Elon and Vivek has 2 years to enact whatever drastic changes, that Trump and both Elon, Trump, and most Republicans want. Now, there is a double-edged sword to this idea. One, it doesn't take account for second-order effects. And two,
what does that mean?
Well, hold on. But it's the second thing. It's a double-edged sword. Is that, say, for example, that people on the left started to, got back into power by 2028, right? Or for some reason, Congress, which is voted on every 2 years, is somehow shift leftward towards the Democrats by 2026, by the end of 2026, I mean. And
you mean after the reign,
yep, right?
The reign of the Republican Party goes away?
Well, no, not necessarily at the end of the reign, because that's implying that Democrats will gain the Congress, both in the House or the Senate majority. So there's no telling what it'll be like in 2 years' time. But as it currently stands, with the assumption that, say, for example, Democrats hold the majority of Congress, and since they're the ones who would typically bring up laws outside the president, who can use executive orders or do his own thing to enact laws without the permission of Congress, or the aid of Congress, I mean, if Democrats or the more extreme leftist types of Democrats takes over Congress, they could use this program as a way to take advantage of its systems by defining what is considered efficient and what isn't efficient, and therefore, which unfortunately enact very Marxist-like policies. Now, granted, this is highly conspiratorial, and there's not much evidence to see what would happen in that scenario, given that it hasn't even been started yet. Again, it's not built yet, and Trump isn't even in the office, so we don't know what it looks like as it is. But if we're talking about like future proofing ourselves, it's like I've seen discussions around this when this first got announced. Like one take is just, while it is useful to try to better the government's finances, it's again the double-edged sword, and also you're just better off just shutting down a lot of the agencies that the government run off of, because either they do absolutely nothing productive for the economy or for the American people, or in the worst case scenario, they actually are a detriment to the country, both in expenditures and how their involvement with the government, like involvement with the people. Like, for example, the IRS or the FBI, IRS, FEMA, those three things, while they all have their purposes, FEMA is a joke because they don't actually do their job during natural disasters. The IRS is just a middleman for the government to legally tax you. And by the way, people in the audience, I'm not a libertarian. I'm not a libertarian in terms of the philosophy, but I definitely have some libertarian beliefs, and that's one of them. Taxes are just legal theft. But anyway, like the FBI, while it is useful in terms of a international, crime prevention or other stuff, it unfortunately is very corrupt, as we all saw with their admission to how they censored the Hunter Biden laptop story back in 2020.
I still to this day don't even know what the Hunter Biden thing was all about. I know he was a criminal, but how?
Yeah, long story. To keep it short, because I think that's the discussion we're going to have either off stream or a different like side tangent in a different episode. But to keep it short, Hunter Biden, if I remember correctly, his laptop contained a lot of classified, very classified and high access level, high level authority information and government level information, I guess. And I believe either it got leaked, he leaked it to our enemies like Russia, or he was selling it in other foreign countries that are not necessarily our aid. Even if they were, it's just selling American information. Now, the selling part is loosely, could be just I could be wrong there, but the information on that laptop was very, very much exposed. Think of what happened with the Hillary email story, where a lot of her emails she deleted a lot of her emails, which contained a lot of classified information that, while deleting of those emails wasn't the problem, it was the fact that you could easily retrieve those information if you were even remotely tech savvy and good at hacking people. And let's be honest, despite how powerful our government is, it's not above being hacked, because it got hacked like earlier this year for like some bank issues. So, ooh boy, but still, so this we will revisit the Hunter story later or another time, but for now let's keep it brief and say that the FBI had a lot of corrupt actors and has shown its corrupt and admitted to its corruption and its unjust acts with the whole 2020 election scheme. And so you're like, those are just three agencies like that on top of my head that could easily be dismantled and nothing drastic would change in terms of how it affects the people as a whole. If anything, getting rid of the IRS and FEMA would be a benefit. Sure, the government would still need something to provide aid to the South, where a lot of natural disasters occur, like Florida with the recent hurricanes, or the other lower states. However, FEMA is a joke as it currently stands. So a lot of the agencies can just be shut down for good because they don't actually do anything, or rather just more of a detriment. But that's not here and there. With Doge, however, while it is an improvement in terms of what it is what it's trying to suggest or promote, it's just very questionable to the extent of how well will this affect well, how drastic of a change will this affect without negatively affecting the economy? Which bring me over to this concept called second order effects. Now, if for some of you listeners out there who watched our previous episode before the week before the election, I believe. I don't know. I think it was either episode 7 right now. Correct?
No, a previous episode.
Yeah, I don't know what episode it was. I was going to talk about this. We got interrupted halfway, pretty late into it. But I was going to talk about technical order effects, but I didn't reach it now. But so I'll just do it here for the sake of finally reaching that mark, but also for the sake of this conversation. Second order effects refer to as the name would imply, a secondary or second-handed consequence to a more direct cause. For instance, if there was for example, when there was a tariff tax placed on China for a lot of its industrial goods, it unfortunately raised the price of a lot of infrastructural goods we got from there, or rather the goods that are even being sold here and there in the country right now. And why does that matter? Well, second order, the thing about our economy is that we are very tight knit. There's no attribute in American civilization or American society that isn't heavily tied to the economy and the flow of commerce. But whether it be the Board of Education, whether it be goods and services like farms or groceries, whether it be infrastructure like factories, industries, dealerships, it don't matter. Our economy is very, very tight knit, and with second order effects, with that in mind, you can easily understand that if you change a direct or make a direct action towards the economy, it will inevitably have a second-handed consequence, either whether it be short term, where it's just like a brief effect that it balances itself out, or it falls down the chain of connections to the point where it reaches the most common connection that affects everybody, no matter your economic class. The easiest example I can give would be gas prices, right? Why is it that grocery prices are high? Well, that's because gas prices are high. It takes let's reverse that. Groceries prices are high because the stores have to pay more money to get those shipments to their stores. Why do they have to pay more money? Well, these truckers who deliver these goods have to pay for gas, and they have to use gas. But since gas is more expensive, they have to charge more to balance out the amount of gas that's being spent to deliver these goods at these stores. Why is gas prices so high? Well, it's likely because there was a supply issue with foreign countries that sell oil or natural gases. And it goes on and on and on. Gas is the biggest example because since the country is very autonomized with vehicles, whether it be public vehicles, motorcycles, cars, trucks, you name it. If gas prices get hit, you can almost guarantee that everything that relies on transportation, whether it be shipment or just public travel, that prices will go up, even if everything else remains even everything else shouldn't be affected by the direct effects of price gouging. Your groceries are high because it's costing more for the dealer to buy those goods from other suppliers, and so on and so forth. And this is what concerns me, is that with the Doge stuff, is that given that we're talking about our annual $6.5 trillion spending, and Elon and Vivek the Doge in general is going to try to reduce that spending, which is good on paper. But, and I'm not doubting their ability to do this, given that Elon's a very successful businessman, and I'm not too familiar with Vivek in terms of his track record. I have to.
Vivek has a very clean track record. It's just that a lot of people just don't like him due to his Republican affiliation.
Well, I don't. Well, that sure, you definitely have those types. But I'm just thinking, what I'm talking about his track record in terms of his business sense, but also anything he's been involved with in terms of his successes and failures.
I'll be real. I'll be real. I have no idea what occupation Vivek has besides being I want to say he's a politician, but I mean, he obviously is one. He ran, I think, like twice for president. Didn't really go so well.
Either way, I don't doubt their ability. I'm not going to question their ability to make, efficient economic decisions. It's a matter of what secondary effects will this have down the chain of connections, right? Down the chain of command. Because again, the biggest example and the most obvious is gas. But what about other stuff that has that's not as easy to see, but is still as impactful? There's no telling what this can do. And given that this has to be done and fully implemented within the next 2 years, as of Trump's inauguration in 2025, we're going to be seeing the impact of these actions very quickly due to this urgency of success. But that's not here and there, I guess.
In regards to we back to today, the original episode, because obviously we need a bit more time for information to be processed over regarding this whole.
We'll probably revisit this. We'll probably revisit this in some time, no doubt.
Yeah, but in regards to the original conversation for today's episode, I found the name of the guy who's going to be the new border czar for the Trump campaign. Many of you listeners probably ever heard of him, but in case you don't, his name is Thomas Douglas Homan. He's a former police officer, and he personally handled plenty of international deportation for the American public, and since he has personally handled deportation on a massive scale to where he has deported over millions of different illegals out of the country, Trump has decided to appoint him as the new border czar. Now, of course, if you know anything about Homan, you might also know of a lot of controversy that he's been involved with. Namely, since he's been appointed the new border czar, he's already made a lot of plans in order to deal with illegal migrants, especially since like a lot of them he has personally dealt with try to go under the guise of seeking asylum. There was a famous clip in regards to Homan and some official. I believe her name was Osiado Cortez,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Huh?
AOC Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay. She had
just say Alexandria or just AOC. That's easier.
Well, AOC. Homan had a massive back and forth with AOC, and to my understanding, Homan was sitting on the fence that every single legal immigrant, even asylum seekers, are going to be removed from this country indefinitely when, or at least something along those lines, when he becomes the official border czar. Now, obviously, given the time, how long it takes, how much money it takes to deport a massive amount of illegals, and the actual process to actually to apprehend them, since they're practically all over the country at this point, he has taken it to a point where he's going to go hard press on the whole deportation process, and he's going after fucking everyone, not only those who come here to obviously commit crimes. We all know about the Venezuelan prisons that's been releasing their prisoners to America. We all know about that. But he's even, like I said before, he's also going after asylum seekers. Apparently, he cited about 85% of asylum claims ultimately get rejected. He cited how 85% of asylum seekers ultimately get rejected, which he has stated that this system does need significant reform. However, he also pointed out the hypocrisy with asylum seekers because, as you know, even just seeking asylum doesn't mean you have to break into our country illegally, right? Mm-hmm. Because, I don't care if you're running from the incarnation of the devil himself. You still have to follow our rules, right? Famous quote there's two quotes he's known for nowadays. But this is before he was appointed as border czar. This is what he said, and I quote, "If you're really escaping fear and persecution from your home government, you're going to wait in Mexico to escape that fear and persecution." This is interesting to me because there are certain parts of Mexico that is owned by the U.S. government, where migrants can wait for their turn to get approved or to get processed through for legal immigration. Am I correct?
Say it again.
There's like a certain institutions or something along those lines in Mexico or in Mexican territory at the very least that's owned by the U.S. government to where migrants can wait to be processed through the U.S. Border. Like it's part of the reason. It's part of the reason why so many of them take so many migrants who try to apply for entry into the country takes a long ass time because something along those lines. I'm not too knowledgeable on the whole border the actual process behind the immigration process when it comes to legalizing everything. I do know of the current affairs with the illegal side of it because God, it is hell to really think about. I touched upon this before, but there's a lot of migrants even now before the power gets shifted over to Trump and his party. Like even now, migrants are still coming in droves, which is ironic. They're still coming knowing damn well at this point that they're going to get kicked out once the balance of power is shifted, which is why I'm thinking a lot of them is going you know what I think is going to happen? You know what I think is going to happen? A lot of them is going to try to get married or get involved with some American citizen or have a child here born in America in order to get their visa or their technical pass, which by the way, even that's not going to protect them. Another quote I mentioned that he's also known for is that if you're going to deport migrant parents, which would in theory leave behind their children, their American born children, guess what's going to happen? Those children goes right with them. His quote, and I said, sure, there's an easy way to deport illegals without separating the families. The children go along with them. Now, obviously, if you're someone who cares about migrants coming to the country, you're going to have some issues with that statement. Here's the way I see it. If you want to avoid separating families, keep the families together when you're going through a certain process. If you cannot change the fact that a person's getting deported, just take the child with you. Just take it. I mean, what good is that child going to do without the parents? And I don't think anyone really going to bother taking that child in as adopted child. And more importantly, you can't put that child in foster care because the foster care system sucks guardian ass. Like it's just terrible. But
oh yeah, it's definitely bad.
But like, I don't know. Personally, I don't really care about the whole. I do care about the whole immigrant issue because, put it this way, I'm not against immigration under any circumstance. Like, I met a lot of people who came from another country who rightfully earned their spot here in America. Blaze, you have a friend who's Thai, right? I put up my English, and like,
she's Thai.
Yeah, and she recently got her citizenship, right?
Yeah, she does have. She's getting her citizenships. I think at this week actually. Now I think about it.
Well, but she went through all the motions. She got here legally. And obviously, we met other people growing up, and even out in our workforce, even then, our college campuses, our schools, just walking down the street. We met plenty of people over the years where they came to this country legally, which is why I care about this process so much. Where I say, if you're going to come to this country, do it legally, because you're a criminal you're immediately going to be a criminal by virtue of crossing this border without doing the due process, which means I have no sympathy for you. And considering how we are seeing what happening with, say, places like New York, Chicago, some parts of Texas, fucking California is not even. I guarantee you, his population is majority illegal migrants. Like we've seen cities where they can't even house these migrants anymore. They're sleeping in airport floors, school floors, fucking like there can't be homeless shelters because the shelters are all filled up with not only the homeless but a bunch of illegal migrants themselves. Like we're seeing the pushback against these asylum cities to where we functionally cannot even house them all, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, another take I have regarding immigration, this one might be a bit more controversial as a whole. I think immigration is totally fine until it gets to a point. Okay, we're assuming immigration is legal, right? I think immigration is fine until it gets to a point where it affects the average American citizen to a very destructive degree. What do I mean by that? Well, let's be frank. You and I will be making a lot more money in our day jobs. If it weren't for the fact that we have a lot of illegal migrants coming in, taking those jobs. Now, obviously, I'm still making a good amount of money right now. But if I lose my job and some some migrants take my job, obviously, I'm not going to get much money, and thus I am not contributing to the overall economy. Because let's be frank. Compared to compared to like American workers who would work hard and strive to get either a raise, better pay, a promotion, all those things. A lot of migrants who come in this country looking for work to contribute to the American dream, you'd be hard pressed to find a single one of them that really cares about a raise or promotion. Because considering the countries they come from, they'd be happy just to get a decent money that can put food on the table, right? Yeah. So like, which puts yourself in a position where companies are going to prioritize those type of people, because if they're not asking for a raise, if they're not trying to seek higher positions of power, a position of workplace power, and they're not trying to, be a threat to a competition, like, God forbid a legal migrant starts his own business and ends up becoming a threat to their business via competition, then they're going to want to go for them versus the American citizen who would absolutely would not hesitate to start their own business if it's profitable, who would climb the corporate ladder, who would ask for a raise every opportunity he gets his hands on. One obviously seems way more enticing than the other if you're trying to maintain a large profit values. And my understanding, with the more migrants that come to the country, the less money we hopefully get our hands on. Like, you can't get yourself extra shifts, you can't get yourself extra pay. God forbid you lose your job and someone takes it over. Like, hell, if you're unfortunate enough to not even have a job, well, good luck getting a job now, because I guarantee you 10 other migrants took your position before you even had a chance.
Well, that's not necessarily like 100% how that works, because
it plays a role, though. It plays a role.
Well, okay. Let's establish this, right. Yes, the more people you have, the less jobs that are openly available, because there's that. But at the same time, just because there's more people doesn't change the fact that the parameters to even get those jobs suddenly disappear. Take for instance, like someone in an IT job, right? IT work, right?
Oh man,
Just because
the
you're a
IT
migrant
job,
doesn't mean that you.
the IT job is largely oversaturated by a certain type of ethnic group. Not hating, obviously, but trust me when I tell you, it's very saturated with a certain group. You'd be hard pressed to find any other non-member of that specific ethnic group playing a role in that little debacle. But I digress.
Well, that's no here or there. All right, that's no here or there. I'm referring to the fact that just because it exists doesn't mean that everyone's going. Just because something is unfortunately the case, such as migrants coming into the country, doesn't mean that they're able to take every job, because they might not have the qualifications. A lot of these migrants come from countries that are either very third world countries, second world countries, right? Well, I guess second world, because there's not many examples of third world countries besides the more extreme examples. So
there are plenty of third world countries that migrants are coming from. What the hell are you talking about?
No, I'm saying that we're looking at it properly with the appropriate economic metrics. There aren't many like third world countries to this day, besides extreme examples, and these are typically found in places like Africa or like the harsher areas of India. India is definitely a bad example of like a first world, let alone second world country, because their entire country is fucked in many different ways. But the overall point is that just because a migrant is here doesn't mean they're qualified to take the job. Now, granted, there are plenty of undesirable jobs that they'll likely take, like janitorial jobs, or maybe even just the lower, or just certain low tier factory jobs. That they will likely take.
Okay, what about the jobs that that is well paying but doesn't require qualifications? I think you are like you and I both know. Like you and I both know,
because what's considered well paying and zero qualifications? What counts as that metric?
Okay, Amazon has, I'm told, it's very much a well paying job, but you don't need any sort of degree. I mean, sure, you might need I don't even think you need a high school degree to apply for that type of job. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, I don't think it matters. Like the point. Well, here's the thing, but that only brings back to my previous statement. While Amazon, it can be a decent paying job. The thing is it's no different from a warehouse job. So it's the same. So whether it affects on one thing, it's same as the exact in another. But also, the lower tier jobs, like while they're decently paid, I wouldn't call them high paying either. Getting paid roughly $400 something or so like that isn't necessarily a lucrative deal if you're catching my drift here. Now, I would say
$400 in what? $400 in what? Like a week, a day? Because if it's $400 a day, that's pretty damn good.
Well, it's definitely not a day, because that would imply that their wages are significantly higher compared to other metrics here.
You don't know, right? You don't know. Who knows what type of wages they're gonna get? What type of jobs that doesn't require, say, a college degree or fucking high school diploma?
But here's the thing, right? And I've interacted with people who worked there, right, before, or at least they have, but they just found better paying jobs elsewhere. But you really don't need it. They really don't require a whole lot besides your ability to squat a few times, lift up a few heavy items here and there, yada yada. But to say that they need you to say they need like a high paying job, it's not really the case here. A high level of skill set in terms of qualifications, you really don't need that, because you just need to be able to lift a few heavy boxes. It's a factory job, if nothing else. It's a warehouse.
It's a warehouse job, and two, I'm not
like a warehouse job.
I'm not saying that
it's not a lot of qualifications you need.
I'm not saying you need qualifications for Amazon. I'm saying it counts as one where you don't even need anything for it. You can, it still pays very well, so I'm told. And as far as I'm concerned, in the off chance where you know, that job is highly valued. So after, you know, America's gonna get that first. America's gonna get that first because they're not likely to achieve much of a not achieve. They're not likely to you know, seek out things like such as pay increase. I mean, pay increase. Things like the factors I mentioned before. They're not likely to do those things. This isn't to say that isn't to say that there won't be one who would do the same as an American worker. But I guarantee you that just like put it this way, there's something to be said about how the system is done, where the thing that businesses or politicians are going after in regards to migrant servitude, that's essentially what it is.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, bro, have you not seen the campaign that was done during sometime during the 2020 campaign? Hell, fuck it. Let's go a step further. Yeah, have you seen the shit that happened during the whole recent during the 2024 campaign with the Democratic Party? This is like years ago. Wait, is
it 2024? That's this year.
No, I'm saying, like, you know, in the run for president for 2024. Like, I think it was some time in 2022, so 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, and when I tell you there's a whole ordeal with, like, say, you know, Democratic people, but members of the Democratic Party. I won't say it's entirely Democrat, but Democratic Party were basically trying to convince American citizens to house migrants, to bring them in. Like, there was a whole. I swear to God, there was a whole. I don't want to say documentary, but a promotional video regarding this whole ordeal, and it was talking about how this migrant woman, I assume illegal, because I know she got through process. She was living with this white couple and she basically, in exchange for room and board, you know, she basically does all their housework and stuff. You would think, oh, she's probably a maid and getting paid. She's not.
Well, if you're just going for room and board, then it doesn't matter if you get paid. You got the bare minimums.
I mean, sure, but let's be real. When you hear the shit that's coming out of those people's mouths as to, you know, let's be real, the function that lady was doing, she was essentially no different from a slave.
Again, I wouldn't be that hyperbolic.
I'm not. Who's that being hyperbolic? I swear to God, if you could, I swear to God, if I can find that video, I can play it next stream to convey my point, because I swear to God, I'm not joking about this. Like, it is honestly fucking laughable that anybody with a straight face could look at this and not think, looking for cheap labor to take the jobs for us while we prop it up the margins. Yeah, fuck no, that is peak definition of slavery. Which is ironic because it's the same people who are advocating for racial justices, but proceed to fucking do shit that essentially promotes, you know, slavery. I can't be
again. I don't want to go that far, because I think it. I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be like liable here trying to overblow a issue here. But also, the thing is, immigration itself isn't a problem. It really isn't. It's just the fact that
I never said it was.
No, but let's look at it from a larger purview here. It's well, let's just say it's rather complicated due to the fact that how do I say this? The problem is that with immigration, it's gone out of control. There's not a strong rule set or foundation that justifies having these people all at once.
No, I can't even think of a reason why it would be here in the first place. We can't think of a reason why they would be allowed to illegally cross here in the first place without some level of obviously illegal issue that comes to play with that. I mean, I think we can safely say, like, I refuse to believe all of them were asylum seekers when you consider the rate at which asylum seekers get even accepted in the first place. 85% get rejected when it comes to seeking asylum. So one has to think. There's no way in hell every last one of them that crossed our border illegally are asylum seekers. Like, one has to think that has to be the case.
Yeah, it's another thing. The problem is, yes, you're right. It's not every single person is seeking those things. I'd be a fool and remiss to suggest that. However, the problem stems from the fact that, well, quite honestly, the problem is that without those regulations, without a strong filtering system to justify the mere existence of these things, well, you have a recipe for disaster at this point. For example, without a strong vetting system, you're just letting any Joe Schmo enter our country. Now, what can be done with that? Well, we could say that those with a criminal history, or rather causes a criminal, commits a criminal crime, or just a crime in general, I mean, just gotta leave. If they don't have any strong strong ties to this country in terms of financial connections, welfare stuff, which the welfare system is faulty at best, but also just other metrics that say that, hey, at the very least they're a green card holder, let alone an American citizen, and they just leave but at the same time, we also got to just stop letting people just showing up willy-nilly. And I think if we had a strong punishment system at the very least that conveys that what will happen if they want to commit a crime but also come to this country illegally across the border without proper verifications, then
even that's not going. You and I both know it's not going to fly with them, though.
Well, obviously not, because to go to the Democrats can't, the Republicans can't go too heavy-handed on ways to deal with immigration, but they can't be too. But at the same time, we both know they're not going to be so light-footed on it in comparison to like Democrats who just didn't do anything at all. They just let them in. Hell, if we probably wouldn't have so much of a problem with the immigration thing if there wasn't if we weren't just promoting that, hey, anyone could come, screw your verification, screw any form of like legitimate processes that make sure that you are fit for this country. Ignore literally our entire process because feel-goodisms. And there's something to be said about the type of humanitarian like perspective you would have to justify just letting people come into your country without any steps towards verifying that they're a good person. Now, let's be honest here. Again, it's perfectly reasonable to see that there are people out there who, yes, need asylum, yes, need a home, yes, probably just want the job to pay for whatever lifestyle they want, and yes, to fulfill an American dream that we pride ourselves with.
American dream has been lost during a track of time. Let's be frank. We kind of killed it.
Yeah, and that's a conversation for another day, to be honest. But at the end of the day, there's plenty of without any form of regulation or any form of process to ham fist this rule set, then, well, at this point you're shit out of luck. And it's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate. Like, let's look at what happened in New York and a lot of these sanctuary cities. You have too many people in these cities and these states, and now these states are asking for a federal emergency in crisis and calling it a crisis because now they have too many people coming to their country. Well, guess what? You were a sanctuary city. You established that. You allowed these people to come in. You welcomed it even. But then all of a sudden, now that it just got out of hand and you can't do what you promised, you want to cry foul and say, hey, the government got to help us, give us money. We need to pay for this stuff. Like, you did it to yourself. Now, granted, I'm not saying, and the only people you have to blame is yourself. You're hurting not only the migrants who you can't provide the services you promised, so you're giving them a false promise, but now you're hurting your very citizens that live in your cities because you're not putting money into their services. You're not putting money into their well-being. New York has a rampant crime problem even before the migrants showed up. Chicago, Los Angeles, so many of these left-leaning states. Now, these are typically blue states, that are typically having these issues.
Irony!
And there are a few examples of. Yes, it's not really irony. It's to be expected.
Well, to us, it's expected, but consider the irony.
There's no irony. It's to be expected because when you're a blue state, you're likely the group of individuals who would promote these pretty counterintuitive like policies. But at the same time, you also have to consider that they do themselves, and there's really not much to say about it besides you played yourself, you fucked up. If something is fundamentally wrong, you could just tell by just seeing the end result of what it's become, or rather, what is the cost to this game you're playing. Let's be honest here. A game is only as engaging as the bets you place. And if you're not placing the strong bets, you're not exactly winning any favors.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That was a very shitty analogy.
No, it wasn't, because again, a game is only as engaging as the bets you place in. Like, you're not gonna be really engaged on a poker game if you're only betting $5. You're not gonna be really engaged in a game of hell, even Russian roulette without betting your life. A game is only as engaging.
I think if you want to use bets as an example for that type of shit, bro, you picked the worst game to think about as an example.
No, the point of the analogy is that without addressing the cost, the game itself is fundamentally pointless. So if you're going to commit to this idea with immigration and all that, you better commit and while also be aware of the costs that allows you to even play it. You want to make these policies, you better be prepared to literally pay the cost, financially speaking, that will require you to maintain these rules. Otherwise, you're dooming yourself and your reputation and your qualifications. You're dooming the people that already live in those territories that are having to fight these foreigners who are not putting into the economy because they have no incentive to do so. There's no incentive to do that. So why would they put back into the economy like the rest of us? They're not paying taxes. They're not doing anything. So, and you're also dooming the people you were promised, because now once you run out of resources, you can't provide to them the very services you are promising. Again, you want to play this game, better be able to make that cost. Otherwise, you're making a pointless, self-destructive bet. And unfortunately, we have reached the latter in a lot of these sanctuary cities. And yet nothing has changed.
Got a bit personal there, but did you?
I didn't get personal.
Almost like a little ranting state.
No, I'm just establishing my point. It's a very, now granted, yes, it's complicated. It's not as simple as simply saying getting rid of them, because that would be really, really dumb. And at this point, due to the inaccuracy and the incompetency of a lot of federal agents, federal actors here, such as the police force and the FBI, as previously stated. But it's just like there's no way to get rid of all the, especially the bad actors, without risking something else in the crossfire. But at the very least, the most we can do is just pray that, well, things get better. To what extent, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, we won't know really what happens until the power shifts over to the Republican Party, like officially next year, and by then we will likely already see a massive tonal shift to people's overall issue with the party. It's like I think I can speak for a lot of us who are relatively indifferent when it comes to this type of subject. Well, I say indifferent, but I say it loosely in the case of the criminals need to go, but I want people to come back in the legal way, because obviously anyone who comes to this country legally deserves a chance to live the life as the way the American dream is supposed to be. But obviously, you can't have that when you got a bunch of people who coming in here illegally ruining your name. You know what I mean? So like, and to some extent, I would pray that when it does shift over and the policies do become in place at that point, we do see a bit of a total shift. People might start to agree with the actions that Homan and Trump will be doing. Some might even agree with the actions that comes into play with Trump and Vivek and Elon, obviously. Also, I'm surprised Elon isn't some government official at this point with the way he's been playing a role in this whole ordeal. You would think he would be an actual political figure at this point.
Yeah. Well, Elon has been just like that special case of scrutiny, both when he first acquired Twitter, now X.
Well, he tried to quit Twitter. Honestly, that was a net positive, because since censorship is practically banned in that thing, it is practically banned. I think you still get banned for certain stuff.
Oh no, they're still a private company, and they could still warrant justifiably ban whomever they wish. It's just a matter of you can't just simply be banned purely on the basis of public opinions, political opinions, or certain opinions. However, if you were to incite violence, or just typical violation stuff, like very like. Hell, even like racist comments, you could still be banned for it. No, it's very on the nose, simplistic stuff, but it is what it is, right? Yeah, I don't know how to really address this the best I can, because it's quite there's not more to say than the obvious. You know what I
mean, I get what you're saying, but
it's a lot to take in, a lot to address. But that's no hero there. But I think we're all out of time for here, folks. We covered. This is a lot. Today's episode is a lot less formative or structured as it usually is, guys. It's just been since the election, a lot of the things have been rather. Died down, for lack of better words.
Free content has gone away. Free content's gone away, essentially.
Oh, free content has not gone away. It's just we have to wait until either someone does really something stupid and we have a conversation on that, or we just wait until the time comes where something else takes the news cycle. But without further ado, thank you guys for listening in.
If you enjoy,
hope that you enjoy this.
if you enjoy this content, please let us know.
Way to interrupt me.
Hey, shut the fuck up. Anyway, if you enjoy this content, be sure to comment this video as a W or an L. Give it a like or dislike if you didn't like it. We'll do better either way. If you want to see more episodes like these in future days, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and of course, be sure to follow our socials. Link will be in the description in below for all of our socials for you to follow. But until next time, everyone.
I'm Blaze.
And I'm Shard. And this has been your weekly dose of bullshit. Bye, everyone.
Later.